Hi everybody, welcome back to Sharon from Vivid Days Art. We are going to be upcycling an MDF board that came from a shop called The Range. Now I've already painted my base with acrylics. Now this is a brown version of the MDF board. It has positive messages on the back, tape around the edges very carefully 3 times to make sure there's no leakage. Painting your MDF board is optional. I do it to help me understand where I'm going to map it out, reduce the air bubbles coming through from the MDF board, and help with the depth as you see through. The shells I put down were just for me to understand some of the big shells we're using and some of the stones. They're all personal to me that I've collected over time. As you can see, I've listed all the colours that I will use for layer 1 of resin. I'm going to start mixing up my resin now. You're going to get 300 mils worth for this board. I'll add some white ignition dust in there just to create a little bit of sparkle, and I'll start to gradiate my colours from the sand upwards, which will be clear, and it'll phase up those colours until you get to the darker one. The casting craft is a preference of mine for creating foam, so I'm just making sure I have got some to one side there, and you're going to see me add just a little bit of each pigment into the resin. And the first layer is slightly darker than I used for the top layer, but that helps to create depth. And again, how many layers you put is an optional, but I feel that the more layers you do, the greater your image will be, but that's just a personal preference. This video is going to be speeded up by 600. Also, wear the correct PPE when working with resin. Now, the reason this is speeded up is this was taken from my live that was over a 3-week period. This is speeded up for people that are time poor or maybe proficient and they just want to understand my process. So remember to click the top right hand corner for those links to those videos, or also check my description. Before we get on with the video, I just want to remind you all that my channel offers membership. That is a way to help me keep putting content out there and sharing it with you. So this is a great opportunity to say a sincere thank you to each and every one of my current members. A little shout out to you. You are helping me to continue to share my art with you all, because I don't do this full time. This is all done from myself. I'm not sponsored, so any tips or donations or sponsorship is really greatly appreciated. However, if membership is something that you can't commit to, I totally understand. Just liking, subscribing and sharing my videos really helps me and helps the algorithms, and it helps YouTube keep sharing out, and it's a way to pay me back, the artist. So sincere thank you to each and every person that is watching this or have watched any of my other videos. So for people who are subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. Remember to hit or deselect and re-hit my notification bell. It seems to be broken for most of the people that have been telling me, so they've had to unsubscribe and resubscribe to get it. Hopefully that way it'll fix it and my bell will ring for you. Okay, back with the project. What have we done so far, Sharon? Because you really digressed then. Well, we added clear to where the sand area is to help protect that area. I put the shells inside some clear resin. The reason I do that, it stops air bubbles releasing back into the resin. I've gradiated my pigment colours from light to dark. I then blended them through, remembering that this is going to be the underneath piece, so I want it to feel like it's churning, and I'm adding real sand into the clear to give you a snapshot of where it's very clear water and you're seeing underneath. And I'm now placing my pebbles. If you're not aware, I have a Facebook group which is specifically for people to showcase their art with other creatives. Now, it can be any kind of creations. The only thing we want you to do is be respectful of people and maybe support, share knowledge, tips and tricks, but also show your work. If you're not showing it to anybody, what's the point? And everybody has some creative talent, in my opinion. Anyway, I am digressing. Consider joining that if you're not already. Now, where I put the stones, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm doing something that I enjoy, and that's what I recommend with you, unless you're doing a custom made one, of course. And you want to connect with your piece, and I think that's really, really important when you're doing any kind of art. Okay, I'm adding the final details and the last big pieces. I really want there to be a lot of white foam. It's going to overlap where the starfish is. It's going to come onto that sand area a little bit more. I'm going to add some textures and yeah, just build on it and work with it. That now I'm keeping this at fast speed for time, but if you do want to see the technique that I use for my foam, I know it's different to everybody else's, but this is what I find aesthetically pleasing to me. I like to create that real churning feeling of that foam coming onto the beach. Now, I work in threes for the waves. You don't have to do that. I put my casting craft on and I blow it backwards and forwards like you see now. This particular part is in real time just so you can see what I'm doing. It's on a, is it 360 degree? I don't go higher than that, and I'm making sure that I'm constantly moving so that it's not going to burn that resin and leave that scotchy look within the white foam. So I do this twice. So I come back, I let it cool down a little bit, I go over it, and then I add some more casting craft, and then I leave it. And then that will create the base of your waves, because no wave is solid white. It's going to have lots of shading, darks, blues coming through, everything like that. So the more different colours coming through, the more realism, in my opinion, it's going to be. So I'm going to put some Sharon's Dodgy FM, and remember, art is not about perfection, it's about the journey and the emotion that you put in there. Don't try to replicate anybody else's work. Find what you enjoy. Remember, you've got this. With every fail that we do, there is a learn. And even though you feel frustrated or like giving in at some stage, stick with it. You will find it. My hot tip is, don't start on a big piece of work. Work on a few little molds. Try a few different techniques until you find what works for you, and then apply it to the larger art. Anyway, I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm now going to put some of Sharon's Dodgy FM on. The process is the same. The colours have just changed, but you will see this piece come to life. And again, if you want to see a step-by-step version of this where I talk through every single detail I'm doing, make sure you click the link to the lives. But I think you will agree, for the first layer and the base layer, you're starting to get that feeling of realism and a beach. Anyway, thank you so much for your support and hanging out and listening to me digress. But look, no leakage. I put 3 pieces of tape around there, no resin leaked off. And please don't worry about the little blobs you can see on the side. I did put masking tape on the very top of my frame to protect it. Anyway, speak to you on the next video. Much love, and I hope you enjoy. Speak soon. Bye.